as the Death Prophet going to be the first pick for Dendy and the boys. Dendy captaining up that squad. And Witch Doctor for FNG and his Spirit boys. Elder Titan ban is really no surprise, as NaVi have been picking that up a lot. Another support they've been looking at quite a bit is Bane. And they'll dip into their reserve time here, and they'll see what they end up opting for. They'll pick up the Disruptor, so a little bit of control to go along with the Death Prophet, a little bit of coverage as well. That Static Storm, and often you will see this tandem kind of together in that middle lane in the early going. Disruptor, one of the better early damage supports as far as lane harass goes with that Thunderstrike. Nature's Prophet pick is an early one from Team Spirit here. And, you know, we have seen them run this quite a bit, specifically in this qualifier against Empire yesterday. They ran it in 2 games, won 1, lost 1, but of course won the series overall, and that's why they're here. And it will be Empire versus Vega later on today, and the winner will face the loser of this matchup. So this in the upper bracket, Empire versus Vega in the lower. And loser not quite yet out. Feel free to multi-twitch it up, guys. The last matchup of DAC is still ongoing. EG versus IG. And IG with a fairly sizable lead at this point. So EG looking a little shaky as the beginning goes, but certainly Arteezy on his fabled Morphling is more than capable of carrying a game, and he was quite farmed in the early game, the most in the game as far as CS goes at least. So certainly still a silver lining in the early game for EG. Fear in the mid lane on the Visage, and Sumail in the DK bottom sacrificed to some extent. PL ban going to come out from Spirit, and the Lifestealer Broodmother from NaVi. NaVi actually pick up the Lifestealer, excuse me, quite a bit themselves. But, you know, with the Nature's Prophet +1 and him being such a stable laner, it's just kind of a scary proposition to go up against. You kind of have this Lifestealer who can, for the most part, lane by his lonesome. You can help out the other lanes with the support, and then always look to turn things with a surprise rotation from the supports and the TP in from the Prophet. So just makes the early game a lot harder, I suppose, for NaVi, and in general. Lifestealer could be nice up in the front lines against the Disruptor. Can kind of purge the glimpse, so to speak, with the Rage and beat him down. So Tusk ban comes out from Team Spirit, widely considered one of the strongest 4-position heroes in the current meta, and the last few for that matter. Kind of the new Earth Spirit, if you will.
Naga Siren.
As he's continued to kind of fall off with other heroes increasing in power and him sort of staying the same. Of course, the ongoing meme, Earth Spirit not getting nerfed, is a buff in itself, but other heroes have become stronger over time and just kind of fallen out of favor. Naga Siren pickup for NaVi. So again, with the theme of control here around this Death Prophet, and Naga Siren also a fairly tanky support, one that can somewhat deal with the Treants, with the Riptide, and the physical damage from the Witch Doctor, having good base armor and being an agility hero in general. Viper pickup for Team Spirit. We've seen a lot of Viper recently, and we have certainly seen the kind of feast or famine nature of this hero. Seems to be quite a presence when he gets an early start, but becomes kind of a melee creep as far as intimidation when he has a bad early game. He is a ranged hero, if anyone was wondering, but can be considered a pretty good matchup against the DP. Saw Winter and Swindle Melons kind of talking about this duo last night, or this matchup, the Viper versus the Death Prophet, and essentially the consensus was whoever gets a better start wins the lane. So, you know, on paper, no glaring favorite. Viper can kind of help kite out the Spirit Siphon, but you know, because of that Spirit Siphon, Death Prophet can look to trade with the Viper where most heroes can't. And of course, the Viper not quite the right-click trader that he once was, with the cooldown added to his Q poison attack. So again, will depend on the early presence in the mid lane from the supports. Disruptor certainly fits the bill for NaVi as far as sitting mid, and even Naga Siren can play that role. The Disruptor perhaps the better safe lane support in general, with the Naga Siren being melee, kind of hard for him to zone out at Nature's Prophet. NaVi going to go for the Underlord here, and I find myself a bit hard pressed to justify the Underlord pick, or at least be weary of, what NaVi's intention is and how it fits in the lineup. They did lack kind of wave clear in general, and he will certainly help as far as pushing the lanes out go. But so far, I don't see any great lanes for this Underlord. I mean, 1v1 versus the Prophet, you're not stopping the Prophet at all. You may be able to kind of handle the extra units with Atrophy Aura, but you are not stopping this Prophet from farming. So, my intuition tells me that it's not going to be this kind of 1v1 Underlord versus Prophet. But of course, with a Naga Siren Disruptor, the potential for an aggressive lane is certainly high. I suppose it depends on, Spirit's last few picks here, but the Underlord just seems kind of out of place to me. Again, wave clear was lacking for NaVi, so, Underlord certainly supplements that weakness to some extent. And FNG takes some time to mull this one over. Still looking for a safe laner, but likely to pick up a support here. And you could always put the Viper in an off-lane scenario or a safe lane one as well. He can kind of go towards any lane, but I think safe lane the least likely of the three. Viper another hero with a decent matchup against the Underlord. So really I don't see any good matchups for the Underlord here. It is going to be more than likely either safe lane Prophet or Viper. So I would say the most likely configuration is probably to have the Prophet be safe lane with the Omni Knight in the off lane. But an interesting pickup for Spirit. Omni Knight's fallen off a little bit. He's been nerfed quite a bit over the last few minor tweaks in Dota 2. Still, though, a very strong hero. We saw IG against Pain yesterday utilize this Omni Knight to great effect alongside Baboka's Earth Spirit. And it's definitely a hero that can kind of still get out of control early on and become very, very difficult to kill. Luna Band comes out from NaVi. A hero with the capability to burst the Death Prophet and to really ramp up this push lineup from Team Spirit. And in some respects, you do expect that building hitter from Team Spirit, but that would put either this Prophet or Omni Knight in a support role. And we have seen some support Nature's Prophet recently, and I think that's more likely than the Omni Knight being in the support role. I feel like Omni without levels is just very underwhelming in general, but definitely would not discount the ability for Spirit to run this Prophet in the support role. And certainly that would be understandable as far as them picking it up this early in the draft. Lycan Ban comes out for Team Spirit. They don't really have any sort of reliable catch to deal with it, so it's a very warranted ban in that respect. And they will pick up the building hitter. I was kind of looking at Clinks, to be honest myself, but no real projectiles to dodge. Not a major advantage to Clinks. You get the bonus damage with a lot of high base damage heroes. Prophet, Witch Doctor, Viper. Viper not the most base damage, but a range core nonetheless. And Viper and Prophet and Witch Doctor with very high base right click. So this Drow just kind of fits very well into the lineup. NaVi going to throw it back to kind of a Havost hero, if you will. Picking up the Crystallized Weaver here. And again, we talked about Lycan. No catch really available for Team Spirit. There's a little bit more available with Illidan now having the Gust as the Drow Ranger, but Weaver kind of a similar concept there, just having all that move speed. Being a range carry in general will make him rather resistant to FNG's Treants early on, and to DK Phobos's Omni Knight, which will likely be up in his lane. So Navi kind of securing the lanes with this. Again, my kind of biggest glaring concern, most glaring concern, I suppose, for Navi in the laning stage is going to be that General Underlord. But he is level 2 in Dota Plus on it, so should be very comfortable with the hero. Welcome inside GESC Thailand CIS Region Qualifiers, guys. Navi versus Spirit. I believe winner moves on to the Grand Final BO5 series in this qualifier. So a lot at stake here. Loser's not quite out, though, as Navi going to smoke up as a unit. Team Spirit a little bit more spread in their early formation. And LeBron does have a ward on his person, making his way towards the top lane alongside the legend himself, Dendi. And looks like he'll place this up on the staircase. Okay, just below the staircase. Interesting. But it will, gain them most of the vision around this top area of the bounty rune. A little bit of scouting from FNG. Radiant ward as well in the mid, right on top of the Dire Observer, and pinged out immediately by Lil. So it looks like they will be able to get a prompt D ward in the mid from the Radiant side. A little bit of chat wheeling, as is customary in CIS Dota.
A gift from the tempest of battle.
A couple of bounty runes going the way of Navi.
A golden thread.
3, that is. We'll be off to a good start. Crystallize with one of the uglier Weaver sets as far as cosmetic goes. But he'll make his way towards the off lane alongside LeBron. So no one in this mid lane early on. And, we spoke about this kind of matchup and how, in the early going, it's really just who gets ahead and who gets help. So neither of these heroes going to be getting help. And you're going to look at Dota from, far back, where dual lanes on both sides. Treants harassing out the Disruptor. Crystallize trying to trade a little bit with FNG. And, we talked about this Thunderstrike doing quite a bit of work early on. As far as damage goes, so can make some work of that those Treants, and a couple of clarities on LeBron. He'll drop one onto FNG too. Keep tabs on that Nature's Prophet. Looks like there'll be some good action in this lane early on. But it feels like most cores should be able to farm, and Navi, it feels that they've kind of agreed with my sentiment as far as the Underlord perhaps struggling in any of the offlane matchups, putting him safe lane to begin. Meanwhile, Lil and General very tanky in the bottom lane. Up against the Omni Knight, should be rather survivable. Crystallize. Uses the Shikuchi rather aggressively and does reveal, and he's going to cop a lot of harass for this. Does have a salve though, so it feels like he's kind of to some extent baiting this out, and no Gust skilled up by Illidan, so he's in no major danger here. Arrow will fly out to LeBron. That'll be all she wrote, and in the mid lane, 6-2 to the 5-2, Dendi G respectively. So no major advantage garnered there on either side. Lil will make the bounty rune relay in the bottom, as my boy Franzi likes to call it. And Dendi gonna make his way towards top, where he'll find himself a haste. Don't know that this really gives him any sort of kill potential without as minimum a TP. And Cass gonna fly out bottom, but that'll be all she wrote in general. Actually gonna turn towards Biver here. Lil kind of doing his own thing, farming away and pulling the lane back for general, as LeBron looks to soak some experience from FNG and Illidan. Crystallize farming under the tower in a rather stagnant early game, and you know, you got to attribute this to the laning decision of NaVi here, putting this Weaver in the aggressive lane, putting the general down in bottom, and you know, no really big reaction from Spirit. It does kind of feel like you really would have wanted to match the Omni Knight +1 against, you know, some killable heroes, maybe most namely the Disruptor. But the Naga Siren Underlord duo just far too beefy in the early game for them to chase down. And again, no real attention paid towards this mid lane from either side. So just an interesting laning configuration from both teams. But it feels like to me that NaVi are the real beneficiaries of this, as they do get the true 1v1 mid, and it's, you know, traded rather evenly overall. General going to duck himself into the trees. Lil going to now rotate in. General will do some farming under the tower, and he is the most farmed hero in the game, despite us looking at it from the onset as him maybe being the most likely to struggle. This laning decision from NaVi certainly has bolstered his farming capabilities in the early going. Lil has a set of boots on this Naga Siren, level 4 minutes, and is going to find an invis. Does have net Riptide. G, though, looking to eclipse that level 5 mark soon. Dendi going to immediately clarity up, and they're even going to rotate in LeBron.
Come.
So maybe a false sense of security for G here, as he sees LeBron rotate in very low, but Lil actually going to make his way back down towards bottom. And he is going to find himself a Biver Witch Doctor. Gets the Riptide off. A couple of right clicks come out as well. Has the net available. Will throw it. Biver throws out the Maledict, but doesn't really get any damage into him. And now the Glimpse back and the Thunderstrike. This should be our first blood here, as Magic Stick flies out. Lil with a big right click will finish off the Witch Doctor.
This is why I came to the surface.
And an already rather rich support in that Lil Naga Siren. We were talking about him having boots rather early. 1,500 net worth to his name, which is about 500 higher than any other support in the game thus far. So look for that meme hammer to come out at a very reasonable timing. Otherwise, NaVi with a good lead here. 5k or 5 minutes in, 1k to their name. Crystallize pretty much farming at parity with the Drow Ranger here. A couple more denies to the Drow Ranger's name, but CS wise, Crystallize doing great. And you know, some of those are probably treants, so it's a little bit inflated, but overall, you know, to be in the offensive lane and be doing this mid lane though. Biver gonna rotate in with the cast. Maledict is there. FNG TPing in. Viper Strike is there as well. They don't really need the FNG profit for this one, as G eclipses that 6 mark, and Dendi will take a spill in the mid lane. Meanwhile, though, top Illidan in trouble. And what do you know? I still got the camera work, it seems, after taking a month off of casting. Not voluntarily so, but it's unable to find work. The hours are rough here over in US East. But either way, we catch both of those kills. And kind of 2 simultaneously across the map. Now the third, as Biver going to drop in the river. FNG, though, with the Maledict, well, Lil should be fine. One more tick out will not spell his demise, and FNG's Treant gives up chase. Biver now off death, keeping in towards the mid. FNG nearby. Dendi playing rather safe, as his vision was eliminated mid. Biver picks up an Arcane Rune.
This will give them the envies.
And FNG top lane alongside Illidan playing safe in the tree line here, as Biver mid finds the cask and the Maledict. Viper Strike is there again. Dendi in trouble, gets 2 siphons off though, and for now is alive, but he will end up dropping here. G, pretty tanky, has 2 points in the Corrosive Skin and will not drop. He's in fact going to help to turn with his team. LeBron is going to drop. Net there from Lil will keep him in place for a second, but General's TP is so long that they can't make anything happen out of this, and Dendi, for the second time in about 2 minutes, is going to take another spill in this mid lane. And even General spending some time at a bottom now, where the Omni Knight will have free reign. General was level 7, so DK Phobos doing a little bit of catch up. But overall, NaVi going to be rather disappointed with how the Death Prophet's early game has gone. However, you know, as you see on the net worth chart, the Underlord and Weaver farming well, and this tier 1 threatened to drop here. As you see, Crystallize ping it out to his teammates, guys. You know, we're in killable range here for this first tower of the game, 8 minutes in. Let's pressure this Drow Ranger back and take it out for good. And LeBron will, oh, I clicked on the shop, make his way over towards top, but, you know, he is scouted here and maybe wrapped on. Glimpse back on the Prophet, and, you know, that'll take away some of the damage, but the Treants are there. Maledict as well. Couple of right clicks. LeBron trying to run away. It should kill him off, and it does. Fiverr with that second right click in. It's a big one. Look at him hitting for 89 damage here with the precision aura. Even more at this point. Around 93. But in the meantime, it was Crystallized to get the last hit on a tier 1 top, so sure they'll be okay with that. You know, a couple of supports making their way towards the Disruptor, and therefore the Weaver moves in on that tower and assumes the top spot as far as net worth goes. Crystallized does. Sentry just out of range for the Weaver, and he'll sit under the cover of Shikuchi. Now Dendi in trouble as G. You know, we talked about one hero getting the advantage here becomes very strong, but now General TPing in. G trying to get out, and he will. Fiverr maybe not so lucky, as LeBron does not have a glimpse, but will in 4 seconds, and I'm not sure that they entirely need it. One right click from General should do the job, but the glimpse back will secure his death, and the right click is there from LeBron. General trying to TP out, gets the stick off, and will die to the tick from the Viper. So still, the favorable trade going the way of Spirit in the mid lane, and we've yet to see this highest net worth hero in Crystallizes Weaver turn up to a fight, really. You know, when you don't cast for a while, you kind of lose your key bindings, but 1-0-0, Crystallize on the Weaver, so just the kill he was able to find in lane. A lot earlier. And Dendi, again, kind of harassed out of lane here. Full level ahead is G's Viper. And this will not be one of the games, as we've seen in DAC, where Viper struggles early. 7 seconds until Shrine is up. Dendi gonna do the old team bonding routine as they shrine up as a unit. Lil gonna find some space in lane. DK Phobos not gonna be too happy about that. Will body him up and take his creeps. And now in the river, Crystallize could be in trouble. Biver rotating through, gets a sentry down, but does not get the vision as Crystallize barely able to make it up the staircase into the fog of war. And a relatively even early game, all things considered. The one tower, the advantage for NaVi, and a slight bit of net worth the way of Spirit. Crystallize going to meet up with his Disruptor. Looks like the Courier may be ferrying in a smoke. It indeed does. LeBron has that on his person. Perhaps they're waiting for Lil to get a little bit closer to level 6. Not sure where the tome went on Navi's side. Perhaps it went to LeBron, but Lil could desperately use some experience here. Not even sure if that works. Don't think it does. FNG feigning the TP mid, but will cancel it. LeBron trying to soak some experience here. General will rotate in as well, expecting the rotation in, and finds the route onto Biver. He takes a lot of damage here. Cass gonna fly out. Maledict is there as well, but the net instantly cancels the death ward. And G will simply evacuate the mid lane as he turns away and can't look at the death of his comrade. 5-5, 12 minutes in. Again, a fairly even game overall. G, though, a pretty scary force mid, and a good anticipatory TP in there from General mid lane, as they did have this ward vision to scout out the presence of the Witch Doctor in mid. Lil gonna draw a line up towards the top lane where they look to perhaps poke into this tier 2. Dendi gonna be up towards top, looking for his Yule Scepter. Could be in trouble here. Ward gonna be plopped down. FNG TP's in. Sprout is there. Maledict as well, but an optimistic TP in front of the Biver Witch Doctor. Dendi gonna drop for the 3rd time, I believe, indeed, this game. And just after Lil draws that trajectory towards top lane. No one really attends it, and Dendi gonna take a spill for it. Been a rough early going for this Death Prophet for Navi. The other two cores, of course, as we alluded to earlier, are doing fairly well, but the farm dispersion is, or distribution I should say, is pretty darn good for the tri-core of Team Spirit. All three of their cores farming well relative to the enemy. Crystallize gonna get silenced up bottom lane. Maledict is there as well. Static Storm and the Death Ward flies through. He's gonna die. That's the biggest net worth hero in the game. Lil tries to fake it out with the mirror image, but the Death Ward will not be fooled. And not only do they save the tower for the time being, of course, in deny range, but they get 2 kills, a big one on the Crystallized Weaver in the bottom lane. And Static Storm from LeBron is not enough to cover his Weaver. Cask flew through and Maledict was there, and Crystallize unable under the gust to get off the time lapse. So a major lapse for Navi there, as they don't bring the full force. Again, it's kind of been Dendi on his own trying to recover, and they just haven't had that threat of the big team fight ultimate. They didn't have the song yet. We were mentioning kind of the underleveled Naga Siren there just moments ago, as it looks like they prioritized the Static Storm. Meanwhile, Dendi again top lane in a little bit of trouble. Does get his Siphon off this time though, and perhaps looking to turn this. Maledict though doing a lot of damage. LeBron rotating in, going for the TP out is Dendi, but the Cask, it flies through to him and he's gonna drop. Now LeBron in trouble. Treants are there. Right click again from the Witch Doctor, but now flying through with the song. Lil will find at the very least FNG. They're looking for Biver as well. He does have the Swarm on him, so nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. They will get the 2 return kills. Again, though, it's Dendi going down. And DK Phobos, with the help of the creeps, putting a little punishment bot lane. Now mid lane, Illidan and G. It doesn't look like they'll be able to stop these two, as the TPs were inbound top lane to try and stop Dendi, and try and save Dendi, excuse me. And Team Spirit well aware of that. Going to put the right clicks into this tier 2 Illidan, the one to claim the last hit. Crimson Guard up on General. That'll be nice in the 5-man scenario, but feels like we haven't seen General and Dendi together yet in this one. And, you know, glimpse back mid lane into the Static Storm. G in trouble, looks for the TP out. If they have anything, they don't have a Yules, they don't have a net. Dendi so under farm, still short of the Yules, 400 gold or so. And that is going to cost them in the mid lane, as G, with a heads up TP, is able to make his way away. Time lapse forced out by Crystallize to purge off the dust, and that'll be all she wrote. So Navi finally looked to group up as a unit in the mid, and just don't have enough catch for that Viper. And, you know, Navi looked a little shaky against Vega yesterday, and were able to claw out a victory in that game 3, but so far FNG and the boys proving to be a formidable foe. But we did talk about we talked about how underleveled Lil was. We did talk about how farmed he was for a support. He is the most farmed support in the game and has been all game long. So picks up that Meteor Hammer now, and that'll increase the team fight potence of Navi considerably. Navi gonna do, you know, gonna try to attempt one of the plays that can help bring Dendi back into this game, and that is take Roshan. Treant gonna come in and scout this, but I think it's a little bit too little, too late for the dire side. I say that though, Lil hanging around, still 15 seconds until he has the sleep, but the glimpse back is gonna keep G away, and instantly with the net they'll cancel the death ward. They get the Roche. Crystallize gonna jump forward. He's gonna die instantly, but does have the Aegis on the Weaver. And now he's a little bit out of position. That's going to force him to use the Naga Siren Sweep. Meteor Hammer is going to connect onto 2 here. Static Storm is there as well. And Navi, finally, maybe they get the team fight they need. A couple of Spirit Siphons there. They'll get 2 hits. And the TP out from the Prophet will be successful. But the Root catches onto 2. Silence is there from the DP as well. Lil going to duck himself into the trees as G. He's going to take a spill. Glimpse back on Biver. They're looking for 4 heroes, and they'll be able to get it, as the TP scroll canceled by the Prophet there, and a TP out. Down to mid lane for Lil, instantly looking to go back to farming as the rest of his squad takes out the tier 1, and a huge play for NaVi as they take net almost 3k in the way of net worth, make it 4 with that tower going down, and 4,000 experience going their way as well. General doing a crap ton of damage in that fight, and a couple of siphons gotten off there by the Death Prophet. Crystallized, Dendi, General finally assemble as a unit around that Roche pit, and it did look a little bit late for the attempt for Spirit, and they were running into still, you know, a channeling exorcism at the time, but finally we see that Naga Siren Sleep and the early Meteor Hammer put to use for NaVi, and certainly was a major swing in this one as NaVi taking the kill lead, the net worth lead. Of course, the Aegis used in that engagement, but they should be more than happy. Dusto will find Crystallize and may force him to time-lapse here, but he will just be able to Shikuchi back and away to safety. And a very wise play from Crystallize. Had he time-lapse there, he kind of puts himself back into vulnerable range, whether or not he's visible. So he just walks away. And we have seen kind of the return of boots on Weaver with all of the fighting that's been happening in Dota, just in general. General, though, bot lane. Gotta miss some kills once in a while, you know. FNG gonna go down with the help of LeBron. 85 atrophy stacks there, and in the meantime, Dendi shoving in top lane, but won't do so over aggressively. 2,300 gold on Lil. Could even just pick up a Blink Dagger straight out if he would want it. Nothing queued up right now for the Naga Siren. But it looks like he will go for the Solar Crest as he picks up the Talisman of Evasion. Kind of an odd progression to see him pick up the Talisman before.
I'll take that.
Before the medallion itself. Still tier 1 standing for, well. Alright, now it's a streak, boys. Let's do 2 in a row. Still tier 1 standing for NaVi, and you're going to look to eliminate that with the Drow Ranger. Not something you see all that often, but he did get pressured and his tier 1 taken out early, Illidan's Drow, so unable to really get the return. NaVi going to assemble towards top lane, and Team Spirit towards the mid are playing, it feels like, rather blind on the Dire side. They have this one ward here and another just on the 2 deep cliffs, but really in the lanes can't see all that much. And NaVi going to put their beefy cores up front in the Prophet and the Underlord, and start to beat away on this tower. General going to set up bottom as they try to get the best of both worlds with the defense and the offense top, but Break going to fly in. General going to be able to sidestep the Nether Toxin for now. And in the meantime, Radiant secure the last hit on the tower top lane. General going to show himself now with the Firestorm. Hasn't put himself quite yet in the danger zone, as he will be able to drag the creeps back. Now LeBron looking for stragglers here. Crystallize going to try and provide the vision. Will find himself DK Phobos, but he gets the repel off in time. Now TP in from Dendi. Lil has the net to pierce that spell immunity, and now it looks like DK Phobos is left for dead. Exorcism actually going to be popped off here from Dendi. And so it looks like residual duration. Looks like he was able to use that top. They did take out the tier 2 and actually get a significant amount of damage, about 30% damage, as far as that tier 3 goes, top lane. And Solar Crest completed up by Lil here. This Naga Siren is rich. And despite his great start on G, you know, NaVi, with that one teamfight win by Roshan, kind of dodging him in between, in and around that fight anyways, have effectively kept him down in this game. Viper, not a great farming hero despite having the Nether Toxin. You know, he's better than he once was, but certainly not great. And NaVi have been wise to keep him down after the start he had. You know, at this point, Dendi even surpassing the Drow Ranger in the farm. Really just felt like that one major engagement around Roche with the reveal of the Meteor Hammer. And the root gonna connect onto 3, and now they have it again. Meteor Hammer should be able to connect onto at least 2 here. And the Static Storm, the combo is there from NaVi. Silence gonna connect onto a few. Gust is trying to turn things for Spirit, but they'll lose FNG immediately. He'll buy back. Fiver gonna drop now. General does go down. NaVi perhaps looking to reset. Dendi up into the air by the Yules, and over on the left side, Lil in trouble as Illidan beats into him with the cold arrow, frost arrows. Dendi now out of position and in trouble, and he'll end up dropping. And 3 heroes do go down for NaVi, and just as I speak of their prowess in this game after the Roche engagement, they do take a costly engagement bottom lane in an area where the dire vision was key. Kind of 3 micro engagements going on. You know, General dies here, Lil was dying here, Dendi up in the front lines, and really didn't have any support left with Lil and General in the backline. So the vision advantage was certainly, it feels like, the tipping factor in that fight for Spirit. Despite NaVi, you know, they got a little bit lusty with the idea of that combo as General hit the root there early on. But General kind of uses his whole damage toolkit there, and Lil even kind of for half the duration of the Firestorm, rendering the enemies immune. General with a nice denial on the bottom lane tower, but clawing their way back into this game is Spirit with that fight top lane. LeBron looks to D-ward, and looks like he'll do so successfully. Ward near the shrine will scout Illidan and Biver. Illidan has a Shadow Blade on top of the Aquila and Hurricane, or Dragonlance, excuse me. Can complete up the Pike, or perhaps the Silver Edge up against the Underlord could be nice. No real armor items yet for the Dire side, despite being up against the DP Weaver combination. And even the Naga Siren to some extent with the Riptide. We'll see if they look to supplement that. Dendi does have the Yules we saw earlier. Oh, wow. But perhaps a bit of miscommunication. A couple of Solar Crests here. And they know they're up against a lot of right-click damage and even the Death Ward dodgeable, so not terrible for them to both have it. FNG again on the Prophet warding mission. Does have himself a Glimmer Cape at this point. Mid lane General posturing up and seeing 2 heroes now in the mid lane. It looks like he'll back himself away, but again, Yule's 4 staff Crimson Guards are pretty tanky Underlord here. 13 armor and near 2000 HP. Effectively even more with the Atrophy Aura. Crystallize. Looks like he's working on a Nullifier himself. Will be nice against these 4 staffs. One on the Viper. I'm sure there'll be one on the Drow Ranger at some point. 3,800 gold on Illidan. Perhaps looking straight into the Butterfly for the Drow. Who knows? Nothing queued up. Does go BKB, so straight up buys out the BKB. Can't really blame him against the Disruptor, but overall, you know, kind of that catch-22 of games where you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. You know, BKB not all that great, honestly, but just against the Static Storm, it's very hard to pass up. NaVi again going to sneak themselves into the Roche Pit and take it out with ease. Illidan with a double damage puts in a few right clicks to this tower, but really nothing to write home about. Meanwhile though, Dendi TPing into the shrine. Death Ward going to pop off, and Dendi feeling tanky enough with the cheese. He will have to pop it and gets the Shrine off as well. And now Biver going to go down. Illidan going to pop the BKB, gets a 2-man gust off, but Crystallize instantly Manta Styles after he just picked that up. FNG dies over on the east end. Dendi in trouble, but the Crimson Guard keeping him alive for now. It's Static Storm is there. He gets a couple of siphons off. Meme Hammer will not connect onto anyone, but Illidan in a lot of trouble. Takes the right clicks. Dendi gets the Yules off, still not dying. Glimmer caped up, Force Staffed away. DK Phobos left for dead by his unit, and now G in trouble as well. He gets Yules up into the air. TP canceled. He'll end up dropping. Navi is back in this game with a force, and instantly 4 heroes up to the top lane where the tier 3 is in trouble. No buybacks available on these 4 heroes. And Navi, what a team fight from them. Dendi with the cheese, catching out the stragglers from Spirit, surviving for what seemed like aeons in that bottom lane. They even get there in time to glimmer him up with the Disruptor, and now glimpse back on the Biver. Kinetic Field will not connect, but it'll buy enough time for this melee racks to go down. And Navi will be more than happy with their spoils in this top lane. Pinging out the Shrine now with the vision that they have in that area. They should be able to take this out despite being rather wounded. And Meteor Hammer will help in that cause. And again, I mean, we saw, you know, Illidan kind of stand up in the front lines with a BKB. But Exorcism Spirits, right clicks from Crystallize, still forced him out of the fight to the east. Even with the GA at some point. They do have the Diffusal on Crystallize, and, you know, got a touch on his item build as well. After kind of disputing the BKB pickup in some way, Crystallize his items have been very much effective in this one. The Manta Style instantly purging the Gust there. And Diffusal Blade on top of the already innate mana break he's got with his talents doing some work. And against the GA there, we saw it as well. He'll have the Nullifier shortly. Or at least the Relic. And these BKB cores for Spirit just really doesn't feel like... Even the BKB on the Omni Knight here, so... Really, just against the Disruptor, who's going for an Ags and his 2 components on the way there. Favoring these BKBs. I mean, if Disruptor picks up an Ags, it's almost effectively like saying 11,000 of your net worth is gone for Team Spirit, and there is already an 8 to 9k lead for the Radiant. It's almost like picking up an Ags renders a 20k net worth lead for Navi here. And overall, they've just itemized very well on their side. Up a bit far forward are General and Crystallize, but, you know, no vision on the high ground for the Dire side, no vision in the lane, so they really can't play as if these heroes are just a duo. They must play as if they are basically 5. Apologies for the sirens if you guys can hear it. Fire truck outside the condo. Crystallize is going to help in pushing out this bottom lane, which has kind of been the one play for the last little while for the Shadowblade Drow Ranger. Glimmer Cape, Nature's Prophet. When your 4 position farms Ancients with ease. Feels good, man. Relic up on the Naga. Looking for Radiance? Wow. Lil's gonna have a Radiance in this game. That is incredible. Navi just very methodically taking out all the tier 2s one by one. They took out the one top quite a while ago, as that's what kind of facilitated that tier 3 pickup. General feeling pretty strong, 90 stacks on the Atrophy Aura, and has the 4-star fuels. So, puts in a couple of intimidation right clicks into the tower. LeBron spam pinging his shrine. Guys, I gotta smoke. Guys, smoke. Smoke, guys. I got Ags as well, don't I? Oh my goodness. This is a game-ending item right now for NaVi. Really, even if they hit just 1 or 2 of the BKB cores. Woo! And you're really not expecting a Disruptor Ags just yet. General just turning his backside and mooning G. They put the Solar Crest on him. Sprout gonna try and protect the tier 3 for now. General, 0 cares in the world. Cass gonna fly through. Maledict is there as well, and they'll respect the Maledict at least. Back out until this kind of dies down. Actor protection deactivated. Root gonna connect on 2. Exorcism is there. They'll take out the tier 3. Cass gonna fly through. Crystallize does well to get out of range of it. Crimson Guard popped by General. General gonna force staff himself away. And no opening found yet for NaVi. Illidan still just farming away on the Drow Ranger. Could he be going for Rapier here? It certainly makes sense to do so, but he's 1,400 gold away at this point. Can sell the Aquila for, you know, 900. Illidan desperately trying to find that Rapier, and you know, with a just over a minute or 40 seconds until Roche may respawn. NaVi will play it safe, take the tier 3 out, and look to secure a Roche. Team Spirit will smoke out and look for stragglers. They won't find any just yet. Woo! Sorry, I guess I had to sneeze. For those of you listening in game, I apologize. Radiance up for Lil. Octarine core being built by Dendi, and still a little bit of a ways away from that. Butterfly. Nullifier complete, though, on Crystallize. So you nullify 1 BKB, you Static Storm another. Perhaps, you know, optimistically you get at least 2 cores in the Static Storm, and there's 11,000 net worth nullified, both literally and figuratively, by NaVi. And they have a 12k lead. I haven't looked at the graphs at all this game, but about the same as far as experience and net worth go. Blessed to be casting some Dota for you guys today. I mean, what's the escape plan here for Team Spirit? It's just... oh no, what happened to my items? Yeah, hotkey. Something has changed, boys and girls. Something has changed.
I'll dig that.
Oh well. Can't bring up items. RIP.
Double damage.
Well, contingency plans seem to be few and far between. But Rapier, maybe? Did he sell the relic? Oh, he went for Nullifier. Okay. So Shadowblade Nullifier is pretty cool for Illidan, but it feels like you're going to be defending high ground a lot. So sentries should be, you know, as they were bottom lane, brought along by NaVi, and it's going to be very hard to kind of flank. NaVi, 3rd Roche of the game. Aegis Cheese Refresher Shard here. Do you even just give the Refresher to Lil? He has Blink at this point.
Immortality.
I kind of feel like you give the Refresher to Lil. I mean, obviously Death Prophet, one of the better Refresher heroes in the game. Especially with a BKB on his person, but... with a Blink on Lil, you could just blink in Song. Start it off. If it goes poorly, refresh song again. I guess Lil doesn't have the mana to sustain that, though. Yeah, he does. Sure he does. He certainly does. So, I don't know. I would have liked to see double meme hammer, but in any case, Dendy is Dendy. Gotta give him his dues. Smoke is going to give a false positive for Team Spirit. And maybe they feel like they can find an opening on General, but he's just way too tanky. Shivas, Vlads, Crimson Guard, Yules, or Staff, unkillable pretty much. Illidan's going to try and shove in bottom lane. NaVi, it looks like they're kind of dancing around here in the mid. But do they even care if they lose a Rax? Feels like they can end the game right now. I mean, there is the potential for instant tier 4. Glyph going to be used by NaVi. Unless they'll make their way towards mid. Convening as a unit. Got to protect their wave here. G, of course, going to try and Nether Toxin this away. But clearing it up instantly is going to mean that the creeps won't be standing in that Nether Toxin long. That will break backdoor protection, and NaVi going to make a beeline for bottom lane where the tier 3 is missing and the Raxes are exposed. Exorcism pretty much going to take out the range Rax instantly. Sprout going to keep Dendy in the Nether Toxin. He will be forced to Yules himself up. Crystallize going to get under the cover of Shikuchi. Dust will pop off, but he does have Aegis, so really not feeling all that scared. Nullifier out onto the Death Prophet, but they can't get that much damage. And now flying through with the meme hammer is Lil. He gets it off on one. BKB is there from G. Illidan gets off his BKB late, but Crystallize chasing forward. Purges off the, can't purge off the GA because of the BKB. Still trying to right click, and Illidan can't take him out. Dendy surviving in the front lines. Nullifier going to fly out onto Illidan. Time lapse is there from Crystallize. Illidan will survive, but they get the Rax, and they stop the split push for now. Dendy refreshes up, has BKB Exorcism again. He'll pop it once again. And this is why NaVi is a pro team and I am not. As they'll have the second Exorcism for taking the buildings out. In trouble, Spirit Vessel should kill off the Weaver for Crystallize, and that will be the Aegis. For a moment there, Dendy looked like he might be in trouble, but able to turn back with Crystallize. Root going to connect onto FNG. Illidan is going to be focused down as the pings come out. 77 seconds, no Drow Ranger. This will be the beginning of the end for Team Spirit in this first game of the day. And it really did look shaky for NaVi in the first 20 minutes in the game. And the BM Dark Rift from General right onto the creep wave, faking them out as they jump in. Very cool play. I don't know if that actually worked, but it felt like Biver was backing, and when he saw it, turned around to go hit some creeps and got killed because of it. GG towel thrown in by FNG, guys, and, you know, I want to go right to the graphs here. As it just felt like, yeah, I don't have Dota Plus, flame me. First 20 minutes, there was a bit of a lead here, to the tune of maybe, 3 to 4K here at the 20-minute lead, where this had to have been the Roshan fight. Just a major spike in NaVi's favor, and pretty much from thereafter, they were able to spiral that into a lead, where G had a good start. FNG, got some things done. Illidan, not the greatest start, but G and DK Phobos were enough to kind of start to assemble this push lineup for Team Spirit, and that's where you saw kind of their strategy, and they were okay with sacking the Drow because they had such a beefy good front line. But that Roche fight really a detriment to their ability to continue to scale in this game, and they really did have a very much so snowball lineup. So, you kind of throw one wrench into that, chugging locomotive and bring it to a very abrupt stop there for NaVi. They'll take the 1-0 lead, guys. GESC Thailand CIS Qualifiers upper bracket. Loser going to drop down and face the winner of our next matchup. But for now, NaVi with the 1-0 lead. MRP, your resident Canadian Dota 2 caster. We'll be back with Game 2.